Hello, everyone. Welcome to Boosting Circular Economy Practice. This is the panel discussion for today. I'm Vasilis Tsakouras. I'm a journalist at Open, Beyond TV, and morningnews.gr website. I'm glad to be here as a moderator. I'm glad to be here as a person who spent his first 18 years of his life in Delphi. This panel will last 30 minutes. It's very essential to keep it on time. We're going to have a discussion with Mr. Athanasios Polychronopoulos, founder and CEO of Polygreen Ltd. Welcome, Mr. Polychronopoulos. Mr. George Kremlis, he's a principal advisor to the Greek Prime Minister. He's away via video call. And Mr. Dimitrios Kontaxis, president of SEPAN, Federation of Recycling Energy Recovery Industries Enterprises. Welcome, Mr. Kontaxis. Mr. Joe Papinesi, he's a chairperson of Eunomia via video call. He's in the UK right now. Hello, Joe. And Mrs. Maria Anargyrou Nikolic, she's the general manager of Coca-Cola Hellenic Bottling Company. Welcome. I'm going to start with Mr. Polychronopoulos about the circular economy. What is it actually? Is it take, make, and waste? Is it an old definition, an old model? Do you have to redefine it?
Very well. First of all, thank you for being here at this conference. Usually, speakers use sustainable development goals in order to describe their activities and their thesis. In this panel, I'm going to use the Delphi Maxims in order to answer to your question. I will use 6 Delphi Maxims to describe my thesis. And I will start with the most important one, which is ΜΗΔΕΝ ΑΓΑΝ, which means nothing in excess. A phrase of 2 words, which was discovered here 2,500 years ago. And it talks all about the Green Deal that we know it today. It has to do with being a responsible consumer, being a responsible producer, not to use anything that you don't need. This is actually the concept of Green Deal. And why is that? Because we are 7.9 billion consumers right now, and in 2050 we are going to be 9.7 billion consumers, which means that there are not enough resources. So we must be very prudent with the use of the resources. That's why ΜΗΔΕΝ ΑΓΑΝ is the most important Delphi Maxim. In order to do that, we have to use another maxim, which is γνους πράτε, act when you know. And what is it that we have to know right now? The definition of the word waste. Waste, according to me, is determined by time, meaning that the moment that the producer or the consumer decides not to use the object, the good, the material anymore, and decides to throw it away, at that time it becomes waste. No, it shouldn't be thrown away, not even in a public bin. The consumer should have the knowledge, and the business society should provide the way in order everything to be reused or recycled. In order to achieve that, we have to use another Delphi Maxim, which is ious pedave, which means educate children, educate businesses, organization, in order to change the economic system that we are in from linear to circular. And why is that? Because all in the world, even in universe, is circular. The movement of our solar system towards our Milky Way galaxies is circular. So why shouldn't the economical behavior of human beings shouldn't be circular? Here comes our company, Polygreen, where we are using the maxim Sophia Zilou, which means long for wisdom, And actually what we are doing is we are using technology, we are using Internet of Things, and in the future we will use also cryptocurrency in order to provide solutions to multinational companies, but also to municipalities, and at the end also to consumers, in order to be sure that what we are calling now waste is going to be collected, transported, and recycled or reused. Especially for hard to recycle products. So our platform, which is Just Go Zero, a platform is actually a movement which is addressed to multinational companies on the first stage where the most responsible entities right now in our society. And as a second step, we are going together partner with the Greek government to form the first zero waste region in Greece, something that we are going to announce soon. Lastly, we are going to use the Delphi Maxim Technis Chro, which means actually to use our skills, but not only our skill in business. We are going to use artists, we are going to use designers in order to bring back the beauty to our planet, to our beautiful planet, which actually is also the most beautiful planet in the well-known universe. Lastly, looking forward to the future, ora to μέλλον, we think that nothing will be wasted, nothing in excess. The word, the phrase ΜΗΔΕΝ ΑΓΑΝ will prevail, and our goal is to put the word waste into the dictionaries and to the Museum of Contemporary Art only.
So everything should be used, reused and recycled.
Exactly.
Mr. Polychronopoulos said. And Mr. Kremlis, do you think that the circular economy has to be redefined? I would like to know the priorities of the state. Is it the Green Deal the solution for all this?
Indeed, thank you, Mr. Tsakouras. Good afternoon. I'm very happy to be part of this important panel. And I would like to start replying to your question by saying that never the environment and climate protection were so high on the agenda of the European Union. And this is now thanks to the Green Deal and to the climate law. The aim being that by 2050, the European Union should become climate neutral. And of course, to achieve this, and I'm replying to your question now, circular economy is the new economic model which will help us to go through this energy and the climate transition while preserving the resources of our planet, as if we continue with the current production and consumption patterns, we will need two planets, something which is impossible. Therefore, resource efficiency and the maxims to which Mr. Polychronopoulos have referred are extremely important. Now, let me come to the three current key pillars of the European Union, which are also pillars of our own member states. The first one is green growth. We are not talking anymore, as in the previous European Commission, about jobs and growth. We are talking about green growth. That is to say, a growth that is in line with environmental, climate, and energy transition requirements. And here, the importance of the taxonomy regulation, which defines the projects that are considered to be green projects and can benefit from green financing, is extremely important, both within the company as such and in the activities of the company vis-à-vis its clients. The second pillar is blue economy. Blue economy is extremely important as it refers to the marine resources to the sea resources. It covers not only fisheries and aquaculture, but also gas pipelines, cables, ports, etc. It is extremely important as this blue economy has to be green. And the third pillar is digital economy, linked also to the digital transition as a key tool to promote green growth and blue economy. And in that respect, circular economy is the overarching concept, which in reality is mainstreamed in the three key pillars to make them circular green growth, circular blue economy, and circular digital economy. And this is a new concept. Mr. Polychronopoulos has referred to it. I will not present the distinction between circular and linear economy, which is the current model that we will have to leave behind us. But circular economy is both horizontal and vertical. Vertical in the sense that it moves from the level of the EU to the central level, to the regional level, and to the municipal level. And we should be talking in the future not only about smart cities, but about circular cities. And plans, circular economy plans, could be developed both at national, regional, and local municipal level. And then the horizontal circular economy should be mainstreamed in all the other policies of the European Union to make them circular. And therefore, we should be talking about circular agriculture, circular transport, circular energy, circular tourism, and so on. And most importantly, circular entrepreneurship. The SDG, environmental and social governance, should now be called circular environmental and social governance and become holistic, not only internally, but also vis-à-vis the clients of the company. Two words about Greece. Greece is pioneering in that respect. The Prime Minister has a very high level of ambition, Minister Skrekas and the Minister of Environment too. We are now finalizing the roadmap, which is the new strategy on circular economy, number one. Number two, a new law on recycling and on how the waste can be considered as secondary products and raw materials is being developed. The new law will foresee DRS, and I believe Madam Argyro will refer to them about plastic and aluminium, and it will also cover glass for single-use glass. And last but not least, a prevention plan is being prepared. Therefore, Greece has a very high level of ambition on all this circular economy issue. And with that, I would like to stop here my short presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kremlis. We're just on 5 minutes. Mr. Kremlis described the three pillars of this new model of economy. Mrs. Maria Argyro-Nikolic, Coca-Cola Hellenic Bottling Company has rated as the world's most sustainable beverage company in 2020 Dow Jones Sustainability Index. Is that right? And this is the 5th time in 5 years that you got this rate. So how do you apply it to the circular economy as a company?
First of all, to say good afternoon, and really my pleasure to be with all of you today on this very, very important topic. It's true, with a small correction, it's the 7th time in a row. 7th, okay. It's a long-term commitment of our Coca-Cola Hellenic Group on the global level, which is a great achievement to be #1 on a global level, but at the same time is a very high level of responsibility. We are committed to grow sustainably and to preserve the ecosystems for the future generations. Whatever we do, we incorporate practices that they go beyond both Greek and European regulatory. So that means that we go a step ahead our legal obligations. We have our vision for 2025, which covers 6 key areas. Of course, carbon emission, water use and stewardship, packaging, which is very critical, sustainable supply chain and sourcing, quality and nutrition, of course, our people and our communities. In terms of packaging, we envision a world without waste. It's in the heart of the circular economy. We believe that every packaging has life after and value after its initial use. So it's our responsibility to collect it and to reuse it. On this, we work in 3 dimensions. First, we work with suppliers and partners to create recyclable packaging. We work with the systems to create collection patterns, but also we are using the power of the brand to educate, as you said very well earlier, our consumers that they are part of the whole recyclability. Already in Greece, we have covered part of our commitments, 100% recyclable packaging, and our commitment for selling 1 bottle and can by 2030 and collect it back.
Okay.
Now, in terms, Mr. Kremlis mentioned the importance of collection. Collection is a joint responsibility of the whole ecosystem, and following the very ambitious directives of the European Union behind single-use plastic, you are aware, 77% by 2025, 90% by 2030. It's higher in the agenda, the circular economy. As company, but even more important as industry, we advocate on creating the right legal framework behind the right implementation of the National Deposit Return Scheme. We call it DRS. It's nothing less but the responsibility of the producers, along with the consumer, the retailers, to collect for recycling above 77 and 90% of the bottles. This is a system that has been applied across Europe already in more than 90% of the countries. We have already conducted a study because Greece is not an easy case. We have complex geography, we have seasonality, high summer, tourism, hopefully this year even more, and of course we have fragmented market. Together with the associations of soft drinks and breweries, we are working together with the stakeholders of creating the right framework for plastic can, potentially in glass, which is the subject of this scheme, and to do it successfully and meet our targets. Now, important, I'm very, very proud to share that despite the pandemic, we continue our commitment and we invest. As we speak, we invest 4 million euro in a new production line in order to launch the first sustainable packaging in the beverage business. We remove the plastic foil from the multi-packs and we replace with paperboard. With just this act, we reduce 300 million tons of plastic in Greece. Pioneering, very proud that in this difficult situation for investments, we take a step further on circular economy.
That's breaking news for us, as a journalist speaking. Thank you very much. And I come to you, Mr. Kontaxis. The last few years we hear about synergies, and all over the business sector, actually. Do you think that this is the only way to boost this kind of economy?
Yes, actually, Mr. Tsakouras representing a federation that acts within the context of circular economy for many years and in a very successful way, I would say. It is self-evident to us to claim that circular economy model should be the way forward for the growth of economy of Greece and Europe, and I think everybody will agree in this room. I would like to focus on the Greek side, on the Greek case more, for answer your question. Even though consumption in Greece and production of waste is within the European average, the collection could be within the European average, but the percentage of recycling is below 20%. Circularity index is minimum, below 5%. And someone should say that the circular economy in Greece is not the main pattern of the economy. So Greece is in an early stage in terms of circular economy development. However, there is a strong potential to grow. There is an opportunity. In order to seize this opportunity, I think we have to follow examples such as the example you mentioned before, which is redesign our products in order to be circular. This is the first step to take. Second is to redesign the models of incorporating between the sectors of the economy. And with this guidance, I think we could have best practices in Greece. And best practices that occur in Greece right now in the private sector, there are a lot. It's not the rule, but there are a lot. Mm-hmm. For example, the synergies you talked about, you asked me about synergies. The first synergy you have to take is the private sector with the public sector. So, of course, the electronic registry of waste, for example, is a very good example of such a synergy, which Japan has created, and the Greek state is now incorporated as a law. So this is one synergy. The other synergy is the voluntary agreements that the sectors of the economy can make between them, among them, such as the voluntary agreement of the cement industry for the use of waste as of the remainants of the recycling as a fuel, as an alternative fuel. And I think it's important to mention that now the industry has started to incorporate circular products, circular raw materials within their manufacturing process. I think an example has been given before. To cut a long story short, mm-hmm. Synergy is the path, is the way forward. Synergies is the way forward. Japan is a federation that represents a group of companies that have a successful background in the circular economy, but they cannot act alone. Synergies, other sectors have to join this path. I'm glad to hear that, and I know that Coca-Cola is a pioneer in this. So now it's the time to make it bigger, to broaden these alliances, to make alliances, and to look forward for the future, in order to achieve the growth path that we deserve to see for our economy.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nikodex, for your thoughts. And I come to you, Joe. You're in the UK right now. You're running a global economy. You're cooperating with the UK government, European Commission, European authorities, other foreign governments. What is the next step for the circular economy, according to your global experience?
I mean, I think to start by putting this into a global context, the way we would think about this, and this is from the point of view of a consultancy advising the European Commission, but also heavily involved through our office in Athens in the Greek economy as well, is to really think big and to think about the big picture. So if you think about the 50 billion tons of global carbon emissions, around 50% of that is coming from the product and food parts of the economy. The other half is energy and transport. The bit the circular economy needs to tackle is actually the more difficult part. It's that 50% in products and the food system. And I think the good news there is that we have lots of well understood ways of tackling the waste part of that. So we know we can take out maybe something like 3 billion tons of global emissions by rolling out well understood, good quality waste management systems globally. The bad news, the more difficult news, is that that's nowhere near enough. We can't recycle our way out of this problem. we need to be going significantly further with reducing consumption of raw materials, primary raw materials, by going higher up the waste hierarchy. So that means that's focusing us much more on preventing waste in the first place, and then on more durable products, more refurbishable, repairable products, and more reuse systems. Because there's only a certain amount we can do through reducing the emissions from production and from the recycling of stuff when it becomes waste. So one of the big messages we know is that what we do with policies, for instance, they need to be driving us towards reducing consumption of primary raw materials. The Greek baseline obviously doesn't look great at first glance. So you have relatively high carbon emissions per capita, high waste generation, and low recycling, despite obviously having a lower GDP per capita than the EU average. But actually the waste management issues, as has been discussed, we know the solutions to a lot of those problems. They require change and investment, but there's a relatively clear pathway. I think the bigger opportunity for Greece is in going higher up the hierarchy, going into those new business models around reuse and more working out how to get recurring revenues for more durable products. And so industrial symbiosis has a key role to play there, focusing on key emitting industries like construction and cement and textiles and packaging. But actually, the circular economy will be much more technology and service-based. And it also needs to be a more localized economy. And that suits the nature of the Greek geography and current economic situation through the adoption of a circular cities and islands approach. So, for example, it probably won't make sense in 20 years for goods to be, at the end of their first life, to be transported back to their place of production for repair and refurbishment. That will be carried out by skilled people in more localized value chains. And these new business models will generate new opportunities for SMEs and for young entrepreneurs from generations actually that are already well aligned with circular economy and digital economy practices. So helping to address youth unemployment and provide an engine for the transition to this circular, more sustainable economy. In terms of
Mr. Papinesiou, I'm sorry about that, but we are running out of time, so we have to close this section. Just a word, the last one from you, please. Just to conclude.
Sorry, I was just about to conclude.
Yeah.
What I wanted to just say is, I think from a Greek policy point of view, you have this ambitious circular economy roadmap. I think this will now really come down to being brave with the implementation to drive it towards metrics around reducing consumption of primary raw materials. And it will be the right regulatory framework which really helps to drive this transition. So it will all be in the implementation of the policies which have been outlined already at a high level.
Okay, Mr. Papinesiou, thank you for being here, at least via video call from the UK. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Kremlis, Mr. Polychronopoulos, Mr. Kontaxis, Mrs. Anargyrou-Nikolic. Thank you for your time.
I would like to finish with that, to make a proposal which is very important. Together with Mr. Simeon Tsomokos, the organizer of Delphi Economic Forum, would like to propose to European representatives to name Green Deal as ΜΗΔΕΝ ΑΓΑΝ. The words are very important and we must use them wisely in order to make a fast impact. Ο άναξ ούτω μαντίον έστιν των ενδελφής, ούτε λέγειν, ούτε κρύπτην, αλλά σημαίνειν.
Very good suggestion. Thank you very much. Thank you all for attending this panel discussion. I see you soon, actually, next year in Delphi, possibly. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.